So a lot of times when I smoke, I usually write some notes on my phone, like what I kind of want to talk about, some vlogs. Sometimes I think it'll be better to write it out instead of talk it out. But then I was like, well, I'm doing high vlogs now. Maybe I should talk it out. But it's like this particular subject. It's like I wrote everything that I thought about. Well, more or less. Because some people know that I work at Walmart, and it's pretty insane. But sometimes it can be fun. I know some people find that hard to believe, how much people complain. But I guess it's almost like a war or something. You know, how you go through so much shit and then you get to the break room with your friends and you're like, we fucking did it. We made it through the day or something. You know what I'm saying? Of course, some people are just petty and fucking hate each other all the goddamn time. But it's getting really fucking bad in terms of a political and a capitalistic way and everything. When I got hired with Walmart again about 2 years ago, they made me sign a contract that said I can't even say anything negative about Walmart on like social media or whatever, or else I can get fired. But at this point, it's like, who the fuck cares, you know? And I even told my family this, and one of my really liberal sisters and her husband were like, that's fucked up. And I was like, yeah, but I need money. And they're like, yeah, that's usually how it is. People just say, I need a job, I need money, so that's where they go. They go to Walmart or whatever. Some people don't have the education. Some people, or sometimes they just don't have the jobs. The only jobs available are these big companies like Walmart and Amazon and Target. And it used to just be Walmart and Target. And now Amazon's beating the shit out of everyone. And the good part of the capitalism is you get lower and lower prices as they compete. And you're like, yeah, super cheap stuff. But then when you look into it, some people, look into like how they're made. And then they, talk about the whole slave labor stuff. But let's, not talk about that part for this particular video because I'm not too educated on that. And I would just look like an idiot talking about that. The other part is how people put all these other things out of business and then created the supermarkets. And it's been decades since it happened, but people don't stop and think about it. Even the younger people who weren't born when it happened, because I wasn't born when it happened. There used to be like a deli and a bakery and fucking a hardware shop. There still are hardware shops, of course, and auto shops. And you can still find bakeries, but it's not as prevalent. Now we have the supermarkets, the superstores, where it has everything in one spot. And that's cool sometimes, but other times their products aren't as good. And, they treat their workers like shit. And then they just drive the other people out of business. But they're cheaper. But then you get what you paid for. That's where that saying comes from. But I hate how some customers are like, you work here, shouldn't you know something about this? I work with electronics, because I know electronics. There's not very many electronics-only stores anymore. There's a few mom-and-pop electronics stores here and there. Best Buy is still there. Circuit City went out of business. A lot of electronics places went out of business. So I don't know shit about automotives, paint, fabrics, furniture, clothing, foods, pets, pharmacy stuff. But I still work those departments because there's fucking nobody around. Or they have one person per department for the entire day. Sometimes they don't even have a person per department. And they get mad. But that's the whole idea of a supermarket. It's all these things under one roof, and they try and hire somebody that knows about that one subject. So don't get mad if I go to a different area and then I don't know shit about that area. It's not like they don't even really train you about the subject. They train you how to handle the cash register, how to speak to customers, what to do if you're going to get shot up, because it's fucking America and there's mass shootings all the time. They teach you about all that stuff. But they don't teach you anything about electronics. They don't teach you anything about automotive. They probably teach people about, ammunition stuff and sporting goods. Because it's like the law, probably. But and then people get mad that I don't know anything about electronics, or I do know a shit ton about electronics, but they get mad if I don't know one thing about electronics. And I'm like, you want me to be super educated about electronics and about everything else in the store and get like a fucking minimum wage because this is technically a starter job, but I still have to have some knowledge and be friendly to you. That's how retail is. Just suck it up. You know how much of all that is fucking insane? And it isn't just Western culture in the United States. They even have that in Japan. I hear so many people talking about how shitty it is to work at these shitty jobs that are just overrunning all the regular jobs. And now the richest person in the world is the owner of Amazon because half of all American households have an Amazon Prime membership. Everybody's ordering stuff from Amazon. There's a huge selection, and there's such cheap prices, cheaper than Walmart most of the time. Meanwhile, poor people are just asking for health care and to have a minimum wage you can live off of. If you have a job, you're working full time, no matter what the job is, you should be able to live, have a house and food, utilities, bare minimum stuff, minimum wage for any job, because that's legally mandated. That's how it should be. But then some people are like, well, no, it's a fucking entry-level job. You don't have to have an education, so therefore you don't have to have a living wage, which is bullshit in my opinion, but that's where the whole liberal conservative people stretch out or, diverge. And then some super liberal people think, why don't we have a maximum wage? Like you can only earn a certain max amount. That way you don't hoard all the money, basically, just like Jeff Bezos is doing, who's the owner of Amazon, who's the richest person in the world. And meanwhile, his employees, just get by. Some of them get a decent wage because they're warehouse jobs, but I hear that they're so fucking miserable. And yeah, so our country is like turning into just like all these people that glorify all these rich people and wish to be rich sometimes. But then there's also people that hate the rich, of course, because they're just hoarding all this money, and then we're suffering with no jobs, or the only jobs are Walmart, Target, Amazon, and shitty jobs that pay shitty amounts. And it's like, what the fuck do you do from there? Because that's kind of like what capitalism is. And capitalism, in my opinion, isn't that great. But that's just my opinion. I like to hear everybody else's opinion, so you can always leave a comment. Thumbs up the video if you liked it and all that stuff. And I don't know, we can have a conversation on stuff. I'm just thinking, going from one subject to another, but still kind of within the same topic, or trying to. But that's it. So see you guys later.